Welcome to Razzball Radio Fantasy Sports Network from the currently thawed Tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Nick Capozzi, Sky, we are here in Green Bay. Very excited to be here. Sky, we're standing on storied ground right here. I mean, this is Lambeau behind us. This is really exciting, man.
No, this is great. I've already actually been able to dive into cheese curds, and you guys live at large here.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a guy from Montreal, growing up the Montreal Canadiens, a lot of history in that franchise. Being in this city blows my mind because when you think of the historic franchises in sports, the Celtics, the Yankees, the Canadiens, and of course the Green Bay Packers, the other three cities are in big cities, but here we're like in the suburbs. You're walking across the street. I mean, it's people's houses around here. This almost feels like high school football. When you drive around the town, it feels like high school football, but obviously there's a lot of passion here for the Green Bay Packers. So let us kick off with the team report right now. Starting at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers has been one of the most elite passers in the league, basically since he finished his apprenticeship under Brett Favre. By the way, I don't think they still don't like Brett Favre here. Aaron Rodgers right now is currently going as the second or third quarterback off the board. What are the chances with a potential regression in the Denver offense that actually he becomes the top quarterback in football this year for fantasy purposes?
You know, that's quite very easily one of the best arguments you could have is that, one, regression for Peyton, but two, let's realize he's going to get a full year of Eddie Lacy this year, which is going to be huge. The Green Bay Packers haven't had a strong running game in a while. That always adds to the value of a starting QB, especially one of his talent. You give him just a little bit more wiggle room to make those passes because the defense wants to cheat up on the run game. You got an elite quarterback. It can go even higher now.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologize for the lighting, by the way. It's a bit hazy. There's a storm brewing, and it's actually kind of cool here. This is the first time I've been cool and refreshed since I've started this tour. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, over-under 45 touchdown passes.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to have to say I'll actually have to say under simply because I do think that running game is established, but I'll still take 40 touchdowns from my starting QB.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's get to the running game. Eddie Lacy obviously going right now, usually as the fifth running back off the board. Eddie Lacy is interesting because, you know, coming into last year, people were panicking about how, you know, the shape he was when he came into camp. What are the chances that Eddie Lacy could be the number one runner? Because that's not a crazy statement either.
No, it's not a crazy statement. Although, to be fair and honest, given the Packers are built around Aaron Rodgers, I have a hard time seeing him excelling above his ADP right now. Like you said, I believe he's RB5. That's about where I'm comfortable taking him. I wouldn't even mind taking him a couple of stops lower just because, for all intents and purposes, Green Bay is a passing team. And he did show a few nicks and dings last year that kind of slowed him down. That's not a knock against him. It's a running game. It's a running game. That's how it goes with the running backs. They get hurt. But he's one of those guys that he brings a huge value to Green Bay. But for my purposes, he's probably not going to go as high for me in drafts as it is for other people.
Okay, what about handcuffing him to James Starks? James Starks, obviously the number 2 here. He's had a few moments of effectiveness, but mostly ineffectiveness. Are you comfortable with it? Are you comfortable with handcuffing in general?
Handcuffing is definitely not my game. I handcuff early enough in the preseason. If I'm drafting early in August, of course I'm going to handcuff because I'm not drafting a kicker or a defense, so I have plenty of space on my roster to take on a guy that I'm not going to keep in season. James Starks is going way late, and for that reason alone, especially in deeper leagues, I have been taking him everywhere. You just never know at running back when a guy is going to turn an ankle and be gone for a bit. And like I said, Eddie did have some nicks and dings last year, and Starks was able to contribute when he got a chance. So I'm taking him in certain circumstances, but for where he's going, yeah. If you want to back up a handcuff, go for it.
You know what's really cool about this town is every street here, well, a lot of the streets are named after former football players. We were on Donald Driver Drive today, obviously a homegrown way. Lombardi is the main road into the stadium. I would not want to be here on a game day, though, because, man, this is like coming into, like, you know, a one stoplight town. Not that, you know, Green Bay is a great little town. It's awesome, actually. You were saying how much you like it here, but it was just kind of interesting how small it is. Okay, what isn't small here is the wide receivers because you've got 2 guys arguably going in the top 3 rounds, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Boykins, too, is a guy not to miss on because he's interesting here potentially as a third wide receiver. How's this unit going to break down this year for the Packers?
You know, I think you've broke it down perfectly. I actually think Jordy Nelson's very undervalued this year. The last time he had a full season with Aaron Rodgers, he was a wide receiver 1 with a bullet. I believe he had over 15 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. He had an insane year. I would never predict anything like that again, But given that I believe he's going as almost a late wide receiver 1, early wide receiver 2, I've been all over Nelson when and where I could get him in the draft. Randall Cobb, I like him for a PPR setting. I don't think he has extreme upside outside of that, other than the fact that he's in a great passing offense. There's going to be volume and everything like that. But he's one of those guys I haven't really liked the price on, given that it's strictly based around Aaron Rodgers. Again, he's one of those guys I like, but I don't love. Now, Jared Boykin, on the other hand, I have a whole different feeling of affection for that man, especially with the price that he's going at right now.
You like him as much as cheese curds?
No, it's pushing it, Nick. I can't go to that level. Cheese curds are they're heavenly. But Jared Boykin, he's going really cheap in the drafts right now, and for a wide receiver 3 in that offense, I want to get my foot in the door on that. And he was very effective last year, even when Aaron Rodgers was out. He was still an effective wide receiver, despite having a very lackluster quarterback to back him up a couple of times. They had to switch around.
Real quick, how many yards do you see? Give me catches and yards for Boykins real fast.
Ooh. If I'm going to be realistic, given the fact that it's a wide receiver 3 on that team, I'm going to say 65, but he could easily go for about 890, throw in maybe 6 or 7 touchdowns. That's a good value where he's going in the draft right now.
Absolutely. Real quick here, tight end. Everyone waited for Jermichael Finley. What is the current tight end situation here now that Finley's not around?
Well, they really like their blocking tight ends, apparently. Andrew Corliss, I believe I'm saying that right. He's now the key guy there at tight end. In all honesty, it's a mess. I'm going to be avoiding it in terms of a tight end. Might stream from week to week. Brandon Bostic, though, his backup, has shown some great promise in the passing game. He's one of those guys that if you're going to be in a deep league and you're going to be targeting a tight end, or a league where you start 2 tight ends or could potentially do that, he's one of those guys that I wouldn't mind getting behind late in the drafts, just for the what-if factor.
Okay, so my sugar daddy of the day brought to you by ArrangementFinders.com, the Green Bay Packer that I think is going to grossly outperform his ADP this season. You know what? I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to go with Boykins just because of where he's going in the draft. Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. We'll be back right after this.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on ArrangementFinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on ArrangementFinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back, Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network, still in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We are at the Stadium View Bar. You can see it here if we tilt. There we go. Beautiful. And literally, you can see the stadium where we just actually shot from. Big Lombardi Trophy. If you're coming to trek out to Green Bay, and it's something you should absolutely do, it is now on my must-do list, even though the traffic is going to scare the heck out of me coming in and out of here. Come on out to the Stadium View Bar. Great place to have your draft as well if you're in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is where the locals come to watch the Packers, so why wouldn't you come here when you're on the road? I saw the most amazing thing today, may have been the most exciting thing that happened to me this whole tour. Care to guess?
I'm going to have to guess an actual cheesehead.
No. But you know what? I saw laundry today. The hotel we're at today has guest laundry. I'm so excited to do some laundry. Yeah, absolutely. You just got here, man. What are you talking about?
I'm excited for you to do laundry.
Touche. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to compare expert consensus rankings to average draft positions. So basically, we want to give you some last-minute draft prep here if you have a draft happening this week. And what we want to point out is that where experts have guys ranked versus where you guys actually, and us too, go out and draft them. Because it is skewed, and one thing I've really noticed on this tour is how different it is when you get into local drafts, how people perceive local players, how people perceive news that's going on. So what I want to do right now, we're going to go through, we're going to throw some numbers at you. I'll make sure to make you understand ECR is expert consensus ranking, ADP is average draft position. So the experts versus the Joes, pros versus Joes. How about that? You good with that?
That works for me.
Done. Okay. First guy on the list is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning right now is currently going as the 7th player overall in your drafts. The expert consensus ranking is actually 20, which is 13 spots different. So he goes from being a mid-first rounder to a late second rounder in this scenario. And why, you tell us, why do experts typically wait on quarterbacks?
It's pretty basic. Quarterback is a position that's easily filled and rosterable much later in drafts. And you also have to realize it's a streamable position too. Even if you're talking about drafting a very low end QB just for the play of the week. Obviously, again, that's always draft dependent. Some drafts they have you drafting 2 QBs, but in a 1 QB league, drafting Peyton at the 7th position, you're setting yourself up for failure at the skill position, which is the hardest thing to fill versus quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to consider, too, this is all these expert consensus rankings are from fantasypros.com. It's a great place to go if you want to see how actually the different experts rank the players, and they'll do it on a week-by-week basis as well. Another guy, Aaron Rodgers, of course, we're in Titletown. We actually went to the Titletown Brewery today, had a Quebec-style poutine, which is fries, gravy, and cheese curds. It was beautiful. Aaron Rodgers right now currently is going 14th off the board, so beginning or end of the first round, beginning of the second round, but 27th on the experts list, minus 19 differential. And again, I think that just hits home the point that you just made. You can wait on quarterback. If you're in a 12-team league and it's a 1 QB league, not a super flex where you have the option to start a quarterback at a flex, you can totally wait on quarterback. Because you know what? We've seen Tony Romo go in the 12th round. We have seen Nick Foles go in the 12th round. There are going to be quarterbacks going late. And the variance between the top quarterback and the 12th quarterback is way different than the top running back or wide receiver and the bottom running back or wide receiver. You follow me? You with me?
I'm on it.
Good stuff. I like that. Okay. Another guy to look at, and this is interesting, and I think because the experts are looking at this as a volume play, Toby Gerhart in Jacksonville, currently 32nd in expert rankings, but in average drafts, he's going 44th off the board. That is 12. That's a whole round difference on Toby Gerhart. You think he's actually going to get that run?
This is one of those ones where I'm actually a little bit with the fans on this. For me personally, if you're going after a bell cow back, and that's the reason that they're touting him where he's at, it's a volume play. They're pushing him up to 32. Your good bell cow backs are in your first and or second round. When you're picking up your third round running back because he plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars and there's nothing else to do other than hand it to your running back, you're not going to get good volume, and that's the key thing to me. I actually think the fans have it right on this one. I'm actually pulling away from Toby Gerhart in most drafts this year.
Okay, interesting. Good thing to consider. Another guy here, Reggie Bush. Currently, he is going 32nd in your drafts. Okay, so beginning of somewhere in the third round. I don't know. It's been a long, strange trip. There's a book here, people. There's a book here. So 32nd. Okay, in your drafts, he's going 43rd, according to the experts. Reason for that, I think, is that Reggie Bush doesn't have a great injury track record. Reggie Bush might get usurped by Joique Bell this year. How do you see that situation breaking down?
I actually think that's a great point, especially about Bell. The big thing to me is I think fantasy owners have what we call draft day amnesia. They forget all the pains that Reggie Bush caused them the year after year. He only missed 2 games last year when you look at his game log, but in reality he missed more like 5 when you consider how many times he takes himself out of the game with a ding here, a bang there. He misses a lot of goal line touches with that. He misses a lot of game flow with that. So I'm definitely with the pros on this. I'm okay with him around the 4th round. That's a good RB2, especially in a PPR setting, a good gamble. But pushing him up where the experts want you to take Toby Gerhart's too much for me.
Yeah, we've seen Reggie Bush actually go in the 2nd round, which is bananas. I've been consistently getting Joique Bell in the 5th round this year because I typically play half point or full point PPR. So I'm really excited about what Joique Bell can do in that offense. Just real quick, you with me on that? Yay or nay?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with Bell this year, especially at the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great value at the 5th round. Here's another guy who the experts are stumping more than you are. Michael Floyd looks like he might be the number 1 receiver in Arizona this year. Currently, he is going 55th in your drafts. Okay, so he is going in the 5th-ish round. But the experts have him ECR at 45. You believe that Michael Floyd is actually going to outperform Mr. Fitzgerald in Arizona this year?
I do think it's a very strong possibility. PPR settings, Larry Fitzgerald is moving to the slot, so he's going to get a lot more run there. But in terms of breakout potential, Floyd is that guy this year in terms of he's already proven it last year. He already had 1,000 yards receiving. He had 65 catches. He had near, I believe, 6 touchdowns. He's already established himself as a wide receiver, too. To push him lower than what he's already shown is amazing to me. He's a great value if he falls to you at 55. I would definitely jump in, but I'm with the experts here. It should be around 45 where he'd be going.
All right, absolutely. So, guys, don't forget you can lock up your league fees for free with sportsvault.net. Why deal with the hassles and the headaches of it? Get someone else to do the dirty work for you. Sportsvault.net, where you can go to lock up your league fees for free. Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. We'll be back right after this.
I was never one for traditional dating, which is why I like to meet guys on arrangementfinders.com. Arrangement Finders puts a twist on dating that works so well, they guarantee you'll find a girl. That's right, guarantee. Sounds too good to be true? Check out these girls on arrangementfinders.com who are looking to date. She's hot. She's hot. Okay, her, not so much. Anyway, it's free to join. Go to Arrangement Finders and meet girls like me who know what you really want.
Welcome back, Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. Apologize for the lighting. You know what? There is a haze. It's kind of like maybe the frozen Tundra just thawed at this point for this year because it's like a crazy, hazy, storms a coming kind of day in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And when you do 32 drafts in 32 straight days in 32 NFL cities, you might occasionally have a little bit of a logistics hiccup on the road. Have we had any hiccups?
Oh, no. Everything's gone perfect.
All right, right now what we're doing, and you know what's actually really cool? We are standing at the corner of Brett Favre Pass and Mike Holmgren Way, Stadium View Bar here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, right across from the stadium. Come on down, have a beer here before you go and check out the Tundra at Lambeau Field. Think we can sneak into Lambeau?
Let's talk about that later off camera so that no one notices it.
I don't know nothing. All right, what we're doing right now is we're looking at some players whose average draft position is different than their expert consensus rankings. This is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of these guys who are slipping in your drafts, but the experts are a little bit higher on. Let's look at a couple of those guys right now. Roddy White. Now, this isn't a big variance, but it is 5 spots. Roddy White currently in your drafts going 43rd overall. Expert consensus ranking is 38 overall. You see a bounce back year for him?
I actually do. The whole Atlanta Falcons season last year was just an atrocity. Everyone broke, and Matt Ryan was just kind of stuck all by.
There wasn't enough duct tape at the Home Depot for Arthur Blank to put that team back together.
Oh, it was just painful for everyone involved, including anyone who owned any Falcons player for fantasy last year. But with that, comes the advantage of everyone looking at Roddy White going, oh, he was terrible last year. He had a high ankle sprain for, I want to say, 10 to 12 weeks he was playing on, and he was completely off. But if you go look at his stats during the last 3 to 4 games of the year, he was back to being Roddy. And, with Julio Jones back in full force, him sliding back in there and doing his thing, at least for one more year, I'm buying.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, another guy that is giving some interesting value here. I don't agree with this one, but maybe you can make an argument. Marcus Colston, because he's brittle, like peanut brittle, is currently going 75th in your leagues, but 64th in the expert consensus ranking, a variance of 11. So plus 11 on Marcus Colston. I'm not buying that one, though, man. I don't want Marcus Colston. God forbid he's your first wide receiver, and I don't want him as my second, maybe as a flex, but there's a lot of mouths to feed there in New Orleans. And there's good food in New Orleans to feed him with.
I'm completely on board with you. I don't think Marcus Colston is a bad guy, but he's no longer the guy there. Jimmy Graham is the guy there. And I'm really excited about Brandon Cooks and his super role that he's going to be taking on there. I think he's not only going to be a bit of a Darren Sproles for him, but he's also going to be stretching the field. He's a very dynamic player. I just see a lot of touches being pulled away from Marcus Colston, and I do not buy into this other than the fact that everyone knows his name at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of dynamic, if you want to play on Sundays, of course, at DraftKings.com, enter promo code Razzball. We'll have a game going every Sunday. If you want to kick our butts and say, hey, ADP, forget it, man. Joe's beat pros. Not that I'm a pro, man. I just drive the bus. Okay, here's a guy you don't want. This is one of the biggest variances that we found. 20 points difference right now, Vernon Davis, the pros have him at 66th overall. You guys are picking him at 46. He's touchdown dependent.
Y'all are making me ashamed.
Okay, that's all we need to say about that. Don't grab Davis. Ertz is going in the 11th round in a lot of these drafts. Dennis Pitt is going late. He could have a great year. Vernon Davis, he had 4 and 5 touchdowns the 2 years before. He had 13 last year. You can't replicate those kind of touchdown numbers. And if that offense is going to improve, it's going to be because Kaepernick's throwing, but it's going to be Michael Crabtree's probably going to be the main beneficiary there. Another guy that is actually some good value, and this one surprised me. So I didn't shock and awe me, but it surprised me. Plus 18 difference. Right now, you guys, I can't read your chicken scratch, man. Is that a 92?
That is a 92.
Okay. You guys are taking Steven Jackson, 92 overall. The pros are taking him 74th overall. Are we just tired of the bumps and bruises? Is there, 70 yards and 5 or 6 catches a game and a couple of touchdowns every couple games that's going to happen, and we don't want to deal with the headache of owning Steven Jackson?
I wouldn't want to deal with it myself. That's the one part of that offense that I don't want any part of this year. I'm back on board with Julio and Roddy, but I think they've got an up-and-comer in Devonta Freeman that's going to eventually take over for him there in Atlanta. He's looked slow. Yeah, exactly.
Like molasses going uphill with the low jack on in the middle of winter.
Almost exactly like that, actually. No, he has not looked like the Steven Jackson that you were drafting 2 to even 3 years ago. I'm completely off board with him.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Another guy here, big difference, minus 10, Bishop Sankey. You guys are taking him 65th overall. The experts are taking him 75th overall. You think he's going to have an impact right away as a rookie? I mean, opportunity's there, but...
Yeah. The problem is he's one of those guys that he's kind of a make or break guy. I don't mind, in all honesty, the fact that he's going late enough that he's a good gamble. He was going closer to the 4th round for a while, which I thought was insane. But now in that range, I'm kind of okay with it. I don't think he takes over straight away, but I do think he's going to get an opportunity, say week 4 or week 5, once they realize that Sean Green is exactly who he was when he was with the Jets.
Yeah, absolutely not very good. Here's something that happened interesting yesterday in the Chicago draft. Wes Welker fell to the 12th round. Now, he's a guy that, I don't want. But at the same time, I'm going to take a player wherever there's value. Wes Welker currently right now, the average draft position 57, expert consensus ranking 73. That's a minus 16 difference. It blew my mind, though, how far he fell. That was bananas because it was like the 12th round, and I'm like, is Welker gone? Hey, someone take Welker. What's going to happen there? I mean, that's crazy. You got to listen. I don't want Welker in the 4th round. That's where we've been seeing him go in these drafts. I don't want him in the 6th. I don't want him in the 8th. But if he's there in the 10th, 11th, 12th, I'm gambling on that.
Oh, sure, definitely, yeah. I mean, yesterday's thing. Once you pass, in all honesty, for me, about the 8th round, you're starting to look for upside plays, and Wes Welker was definitely that at the 12th. But given the way that he's being drafted this year, again, I think we're just going by name bias and history of what a guy's done in the past. People don't realize he also slowed down last year, too, with his numbers down the stretch. It was Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas that really took over and shined, even when he came back from injury. He's a year older, and he was already old last year. It's not somebody that I'm...
So I'm sorry, buddy. We got to wrap this up, buddy, because I have to go in and draft in here at Stadium View Bar. Then I got to go do laundry. Then we got to go have dinner at Brett Favre Steakhouse right across the street here. Okay, guys, this is Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. We're going to draft here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Then we're going to go to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. We are burning through these cities. 32. Fantasy Sports Network, Razzball Radio, Nick Capozzi, Sky. We're out of here. Bye.